singing sentimentally,
we're going for to go.
In the army there's sobriety, promotion's very slow.
So we'll sing our reminiscences
of Benny Haven's oh,
oh, Benny Haven's oh, Benny Haven's oh. We'll sing our reminiscences of Benny Haven's oh. To our kind old alma mater, our rock-bound Highland home, we'll cast back many a fond regret.
Better when we get more these old vehicles that we use. When I first got into 6th Cavalry, we didn't have no tanks. In fact, we had horses. We wasn't organized with this stuff. What we thought was fine when we got off of them horses, got off on these heavy tracks, tanks, jeeps. But that thing changed a whole lot. This changed. They always went about 50 or 75 yards, maybe 100 yards in front of our first elements that when we were going into combat. Say we was coming down that street out there, and a lot of enemies down here. Well, them boys eased down them motorcycles, found out where them snipers was, what they had, you know. Well, we found out right quick that motorcycle business wasn't no count.
He didn't come back to tell you, did he?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, boy. I rode them motorcycles there for a while out there, and I'm telling you, we learned that that's the quickest way to get killed out there. You didn't have no other heavy or gunpowder. You just had that man on the motorcycle. Maybe he had a 45 or a little gun because he couldn't carry it, you know, riding that old motorcycle. That was a very, very bad situation. Well, what we done, we got these Jeeps like we had over yonder before we met at this reunion, that Jeep over there. And they started out and they put them little 30 caliber machine guns right up in the center of them, and we had a gunner that sat back here in the back. We had what we call a car commander on the right, and then you had the driver. Well, that car commander, he had a rifle then too, and usually had, sometimes we had these here Thomason submachine guns. Mm-hmm. And now that was a good gun too for close fight. Of course, not worth anything if you're going to be shooting at their rifle better. But boy, we found out that that 30 caliber was not what we ought to have when we went down there. But it was good if you was going to shoot just like a doughboys out here or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't, still wasn't, it was good, but it wasn't good enough. Several men,
carbine,
we needed something heavy.
Springfield.
Well, I tell you what, I was in the first Jeep up there. I was that head man up there, leading that spearhead.
This is
and I suggested to the commander, I said, listen, we need something a lot heavier than this 30. We need a 50.
Trench shotgun.
We put that 50 then on the mount there where that Jeep, in the center of that Jeep where that 30 was. And that gunner, boy, he was good. He could sit back there. And he didn't use no sights on these guns when you get in combat. You ain't got time. It was too bad for him because we cut them too, that 50. I had the best gunner with me the United States ever had. I'll tell you what, that man, he called him Old Eagle Eye. because he had a good eyesight and he was dead with a 50.
Steve, what's the rate of fire on the
Boy,
BAR?
when we got in combat,
550.
he could take care of this right close
What caliber?
stuff.
600.
And
30
boy,
out
it
6,
wasn't
30 out
long
6.
when we took care of that other stuff, he began
then
to
it
work
was
on that
clip,
back stuff. back.
20. With the 30?
At that 50,
about
now,
3
we got
seconds
rid of that
Oh, you
30.
took the 30s off completely?
Now, they're all right. Now, we had 30s, kept 30s.
Right, 30 and
But
50.
you have places for 30s,
Well,
you
the
got places
tension,
for 50s.
They mounted this.
Now,
this is
if you're going to
very
lead a
specific
spearhead up
kind
here,
they
boy, you
use
don't want something
on the
that
spring
ain't
fields
that
in
powerful enough to.
1903.
You see this Jeep, this 50 would,
big truck?
you could tear up a Jeep if they had a small truck back,
Oh, yeah.
vehicles like we had then.
Cut them to pieces.
Yeah, but that little 30 now it wouldn't penetrate enough. It wasn't good enough. So we used them 50s. And this old gun back here, boy, when we got into it, he could kill a man 300, 400, 500 yards out there. He'd lay that thing down there, and I mean he'd use them tracers.
I know you didn't have them around.
And he'd walk that thing right in where they was sitting at, boy.
What about trees? That thing tore trees up too, didn't it?
It would, yeah.
Wasn't no tree to hide behind, was it?
No, I'll tell you what, if you got into that, that was good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because if there's a guy hiding behind a tree there, you could work on that tree at that 50, and he'd decide right quick he's going to have to move or something else is going to have to happen, you know, because if you go shooting that 50 through one of them trees, that bullet go all the way through that thing.
Yeah.
The best part about it was he'd bust that bark off, and the side, the old bark pieces, that tree would just fly up, you know. And combat. Now there's difference in just regular soldiers and combat soldiers. You get in with a combat soldier, buddy, and no holds barred. I mean everything, you know. And that's what you got to have to go win a war.
Yeah.
You got to have men that's got guts, men to get out there and stay with it. You don't throw up your hands every time you get in close quarters. You call on your buddies and back up, and then you stay with it. And with that 50 caliber machine gun, you could stay with it. I tell you, I like the 50 better than anything. I wouldn't, if I was in the Army now, and I'd have to have a 50 on anything that I was going to lead a spearhead with through down there. See what we do, we'd go down and find out where them German tanks was. Boy, they had tanks over where we started out. We didn't have a thing in the world to touch them. I mean, they could blow you off of the highway. But now I'm going to tell you something. General Patton was a tank man, and he was good. We got up there on the highway over there in France. When we started through France, we ran into a German horse army over there. And we was coming down this highway, and we shot up everything, killed some of them horses, and they was pulling them wagons and everything, and their guns. They was pulling them guns to some of them horses. Well, we shot them things up there. We hit the highway. Old Patton come up behind us and says, "Hey!" And we had to stop. We didn't have to get us on the mountain and the hillside like. We didn't have nowhere to go.
Well, let's go down there. So I went.
And
I was out in the garage. I got the scout.
still, they had a lot of stuff behind them. And old Patton says, "Hey, what in the world's going on here?" And the guy out there was shooting down there ahead of us. Boy, he told them, he said, "You better surrender or we're going to blow you off the highway."
That's what he told the Germans.
And told them, yeah, so I worked there with that German general, and they just laughed at me. Thought, boy, of course, that wasn't going to happen. Boy, he backed up that one of them big tanks. What be it best we had, big tank. He shot down through there. And I mean, he cleaned that highway.
Knock out.
German, them Germans. He had horses laying over here and wagons, men laying all around.
Just threw away about it.
Oh, let me tell you. And you in there and it hot like it is or has been the last few days. That odor off of them horses, off of that fort, plus all that off of them old guns and
sometimes when you get it,
gasoline
fresh.
vehicles.